Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to welcome you to the program Standing Committee tonight, Wednesday, April 8th. And we will begin tonight's meeting with the land acknowledgement of the traditional territory read by Trustee Lloyd.
Simcoe County District School Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
Thank you. And now please rise if you are able for our national anthem. Tonight's version of the national anthem is courtesy of Innisdale Secondary School. Okay, and that takes us to our statement of respect, and that is being read tonight by Trustee Lloyd.
The Simcoe County District School Board is committed to creating a culture of belonging, engagement, and success for all through deliberate actions and an intentional focus in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The SCDSB Board of Trustees will conduct meetings in an inclusive, respectful manner that upholds the principles of respect for human rights and allows all members, staff, and guests to participate fully regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, age, ability, and gender.
Okay, thank you. And that takes us to our roll call. This evening we have regrets from Trustee Powell, Trustee Talbot, Student Trustee Perry, and Trustee Wilson. We have electronic participation from Trustee Foley, and that is our roll call. We'll now move to approval of the agenda. Do I have a mover of the agenda for this evening? Trustee Lloyd is seconded by Trustee Rafiq. Okay, any questions of the agenda? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Are there any declaration of conflicts of interest this evening? Okay, I don't see any. We do not have any presentations or delegations. So that takes us to items of decision. Tonight we have a notice of motion from a previous meeting. So we don't have Trustee Wilson this evening to speak to that. So I guess, do we have a mover for the motion? Trustee Lloyd? A mover, yes, seconded? Do we have a seconder for the motion? Trustee Foley? Is that who you're pointing to? Sorry. Seconded by Trustee Foley. Okay, perfect. So are there any conversation about the motion? Trustee Lloyd.
Thank you, and through you to the table. we have discussed this before. It's been mentioned, I know Chair Rafik has brought this up many, many times previously to this. And we were just reassured recently that this data would be forthcoming, that we now track it and are able to provide this data. And so when I read this notice of motion, it's very wordy, it needs to be cleaned up. So it's long, and I think it could be simplified significantly to what it currently is. I mean, I support getting this information. I think we've already been committed to we already received commitment to get it. So I wasn't sure if this motion was really required at this point in time, but I do think it's worth discussing at the table.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Rafik.
Thank you very much, and through the chair. Yeah, I would agree with Trustee Lloyd. I was a bit surprised when the motion came forward. I would hope that everyone around the table would remember that this is a question I have asked at this table. I would hope countless times. Superintendent Maltby, Associate Director Maltby seems to be laughing over there, so I hope he remembers that this is a question I ask about this identity-based data every time we receive a report with information that I believe it should apply to. It's a question that I've asked over and over again. Even though I know we've been given the answer, I kept asking the question to make it clear that that was something that I hoped that the trustee table would be receiving. But we did receive, Associate Director Maltby brought us that information recently about the student census, and with the information that would be brought forward, that information would be attached to certain reports going forward. So I was very happy to see that. I'm not opposed to the point of putting it into a motion to make sure that it continues on. You know, I understand that this board of trustees and staff board that are committed to doing this work, and I believe that will happen anyways. But again, I'm not opposed to a motion to make sure that that continues. I did have concerns with the length of the motion as well. I found there were some things in here, like for example, in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In paragraph 5, it talks about that the Director of Education be directed to assess compile suspension and expulsion data for students who self-identify as racialized, including Black, Indigenous, and other equity-deserving groups for each school year from 2021 to 2022 through 24-25. So it does say subject to data availability and privacy thresholds, but I mean, we were outright told for years that we would not be able to do that. So I guess I would like to clarify, maybe Associate Director Maltby, if the motion were to go through that, is that possible to fulfill that at all, or?
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you. Through the chair to Chair Rafik. So the historical data, no. We do have a sufficient census, like you had mentioned, brought forward a few months ago around the response being around 50% for the student census. So we have it for the 24-25 school year. We would not have it previously. That would be reliable data.
Okay, follow-up, Chair Rafik.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so due to that, like I said, I am of course in support of the heart of the motion, what I believe is the heart of the motion, but I do have an amendment to propose just to kind of tighten things up a little bit and take out those pieces that I don't believe would be possible. Is it okay if I read that amendment?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so my amendment would be that the motion would read, whereas the Simcoe County District School Board is committed to equity, inclusion, anti-racism, and the provision of safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environments for all students as reflected in board policies, the work of the Human Rights and Equity Office responses to the Ontario Human Rights Commission's Dreams Delayed Report and provincial requirements under the Anti-Racism Act and related regulations. And whereas the Anti-Racism Act and Ontario Human Rights Code recognize the importance of collecting, analyzing, and using identity-based data to identify and address systematic discrimination and inequitable outcomes in public institutions, including school boards, and whereas disproportionate rates of suspensions and expulsions affecting Black, Indigenous, and other racialized BIPOC and equity-deserving students have been identified across Ontario as systematic concerns with significant impacts on student well-being, belonging, and educational outcomes. Therefore, be it resolved that the SCDSB provides suspension data by race, identity, through the Ontario Ministry of Education Student Achievement Plan public reporting template to support the development and reporting of school board data and action plans related to student achievement and well-being. This report will be provided to the Board of Trustees by June of each year, consistent with the reporting cycle of Ontario Ministry of Education Student Achievement Plan public reporting template. And be it further resolved that where data permits and privacy standards are met, that information be, now I'm going to stumble over the same word that Trustee Wilson did, disaggregated by race identity categories. So I tried to keep the idea of the motion that I believe Trustee Wilson was trying to get across. I tried to keep the date in there that she had spoke of, but just trying to make sure that it is workable for our board, which like I said, I did touch base with some staff members to try and make sure that it was workable for our board. So I do have that I can pass along.
Perfect, thank you. Are there further conversation? I think Trustee Bites, yeah.
Yes. I do recall that 6 years ago, we passed a motion to get the expulsion and suspension data. And again, every time we get that report, we ask for it to be deaggregated, if it's possible, for sure. But it occurred to me when this came up, I'm like, when was the last time, have we gotten that recently? Because we usually get it yearly, but I can't recall, so I don't know if anyone has that information.
Chair Rafik?
Thank you. I can speak to that, and Associate Director Maltby can jump in if necessary. But the information was not available. The identity-based data was not available until the census. We had the suspension reports and the expulsion reports. We've had all those, but the identity-based data attached to it. So sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, then I misunderstood.
Okay. My question is, when did we last get the suspension and expulsion data report? I think it's been over a year now. So I just, it's great that we're bringing this. I just was like, don't we already have this motion in place? And wasn't it always, when we got that, we would add to it, because I believe that motion already asked for that 5-6 years ago. I don't know, does anyone recall? My memory is fading. Or an update on where we are with that? That's what I was asking about, what the actual report, like when we got it last, when is it coming next, that kind of thing.
I think Superintendent Young will answer that for us.
Through the chair to Trustee Bites. That report came last year, but it's coming in the achievement report. So all the data will be present in the board achievement report that is coming.
Follow-up, Trustee Bites? Oh, sorry, Associate Director Maltby.
Through the chair to Trustee Bites, my apologies. So what Superintendent Young is speaking about is the student achievement plan, which is where the suspension data is embedded, and that's coming in May.
Okay, follow-up, Trustee Bites.
Yes, so is that the way it was presented last year? Is this maybe why I'm thinking that it didn't occur last year? Was it embedded in maybe, because I believe we were supposed to kind of highlight it as a separate report. Yes, it makes sense that it would be in there, but I do recall it was supposed to be separate. I don't know if we had, anyway.
Okay, Associate Director Maltby, please.
Sorry, through the chair to Trustee Bites. We can check on that for you just to confirm that it was brought forward. But the past 3 years it has been brought forward through the Student Achievement Plan, and that's generally in May, I believe it was, of last year as well. So that's the student achievement data, suspension, well-being data that the ministry provides for us, and then we add in and then post that publicly for public consultation. But we'll confirm which report that you're speaking about.
Good, thank you. I think Trustee Strawn had a question for Associate Director Maltby. Oh, he answered it. All right, excellent. So are there any other comments about the motion? Okay. Okay, any other questions about the amendment? Okay, so I will ask the question. Mover and a seconder first, so a mover. So Chair Rafik will move it and Trustee Lloyd will second it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so all in favor of the amendment for this motion? Oh, that is everyone, so that's carried. So now we vote on the amended motion. Okay, this is great. We already moved it. Okay, so all in favor of the amended motion? Okay, and that is everyone, and that is carried. Thank you. Great. Okay, thank you very much for all of that. So that now takes us to our items for information this evening. So our first staff report is Pro-I-1A, Skilled Trades and Apprenticeship, and I will invite Associate Director Maltby for that report.
Thank you, and through the chair, with your permission, I would invite Jason Pino, Principal of Student Achievement, Pat Manson, OYAP Instructional Resource Teacher, and Dylan Campbell, Eastview student and OYAP participant, to the table to assist with the presentation.
Wonderful. Yes, please join us.
Thank you. Across the Simcoe County District School Board, the demand for skilled trades programming continues to grow. And this reflects both local labor market needs and rising interest among students in hands-on experiential learning that leads to meaningful and in-demand post-secondary pathways. Tonight, you'll hear briefly from Principal Pino and from OCT Manson, but we thought we brought this report for the last few years to the table because of the interest, but tonight we thought we'd bring some authenticity to it and invite a student who has experienced OYAP, and that's Dylan Campbell from Eastview Secondary School. So most of the speaking will be done by Dylan to relay her experiences.
Thank you, Associate Director Maltby. The Specialist High Skills Major Program empowers grade 11 and 12 students to tailor their secondary education to their personal passions and interests while building sector-specific expertise. The SHSM program continues to grow across the Simcoe County District School Board secondary schools, with 15 secondary schools offering at least one SHSM program. In 2025-26, there are 55 SHSM programs across a wide range of sectors, including agriculture, arts and culture, business, construction, environment, health and wellness, hospitality and tourism, information and communications technology, manufacturing, sports, and transportation. Each of these sectors include post-secondary pathways in the skilled trades with apprenticeship pathways. As of October 31st, 2025, SHSM enrollment stands at 1,351 students. This marks a steady increase from 869 students in 2021-22, rising to 1,065 in both 22-23 and 23-24, and 1,260 in 24-25.
The Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program is delivered through cooperative education programs, allowing students to earn secondary school credits while completing work placements in skilled trades. These placements allow students to develop work placement competencies, explore career paths, and gain valuable hands-on experience in the skilled trades while working towards their Ontario Secondary School diploma. Participation in OEAP remains strong across SCDSB. In 2024-25 school year, there were 114 students who registered as apprentices through OEAP. In the current 25-26 school year, apprenticeship registrations are progressing steadily, and based on current participation trends, the program is on track to achieve apprenticeship registration levels consistent with recent years. Beginning in the 25-26 school year, a focused apprenticeship pathway has been introduced called OEAP FAST. FAST standing for Focused Apprenticeship Skilled Training. This accelerated program is designed for students in grade 11 and 12 who have demonstrated a strong interest in pursuing careers in the skilled trades. Through OEAP FAST, students complete an extended cooperative education program focused on apprenticeship training, typically earning 8 to 11 co-op credits while working towards their Ontario Secondary School diploma. The structure allows students to spend a greater portion of their timetable gaining hands-on experience with an employer while developing advanced trade competencies. Students who successfully complete the program and meet all graduation requirements will receive a new Type 5 Ontario Secondary School diploma with an OEAP FAST designation, recognizing their participation in this accelerated apprenticeship pathway. The SCDSB anticipates approximately 20 to 30 OEAP FAST graduates in the 25-26 school year, which aligns with an early implementation trends observed across Ontario school boards. Through the continued growth of OEAP and the introduction of OEAP FAST, the SCDSB is strengthening pathways that connect students with high-demand careers in skilled trades while supporting Ontario's future workforce needs.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, allow me to take this moment to introduce myself. My name is Dylan Campbell. I am 18 years old, and as of January 8th, 2026, I've been signed with the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program through Richards Equipment as a heavy equipment technician. You may be thinking how this happened. Well, let me break it down for you all. I'm an 8th generation farmer located in the humble town of Oromodonte. I love tractors, and I love working on them even more. But why does any of this have to do with why I'm here today? Great question. When I was in grade 8, one of my guidance counselors from my soon-to-be high school, Eastview Secondary, came to my elementary school to talk about high school. The conversation consisted, and I had pulled her aside and asked her what opportunities there would be for trades post-secondary. She mentioned a program that balanced both on-the-job training and schooling, and I thought it was quite interesting, but I didn't really think much of it. 2 weeks later, I got a package in the mail saying what the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program had to offer students. I was a 14-year-old kid, so I grabbed that package and I threw it under my bed. When I was in grade 11, I had the opportunity to take a school co-op, and of course I took it. I wasn't really the biggest fan of being in class, so I took any chance to get out of it. I was at a local agricultural dealership 5 minutes down the road from me working in the service department. With hard work and dedication, I was hired 2 weeks into my co-op. The next thing I knew, I was working during the summer, and I had talked to my guidance counselor and asked if I could take another co-op for grade 12, and my wish was granted. It was a rainy day in September where I thought it was a good idea to reorganize my room. Come on now, I'm a girl, it's just what we do. As I was moving my bed, I found an Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program package, and I got a huge throwback to grade 8. I remember asking my co-op teacher what OEAP was and what it had to offer, and as soon as he told me, I felt a spark light up in my heart. I knew I wanted to work on tractors or equipment for the rest of my life, but then I also knew going through OEAP was going to be the best way for me to achieve my goals. Since that moment, I've thought every day about what my life could be in so many different ways, feeling a sense of excitement when I think about what the future has to offer. There's a saying that my grandpa always says, everything happens for a reason. He's been saying this for so many years, and I've always kind of just brushed it off. But within the last year, I've never felt more comfortable in knowing what the future can hold. If I went back to my 14-year-old self, and I had told her that that package that she threw under the bed would have helped grow the early stages of her life, she probably would have rolled her eyes or called it lame or even let out a scoff. Or if I had told her that I was speaking at a meeting, such as this, I probably would have gotten a, yeah, right, or maybe with or without a snotty tone, depending on the day. But all jokes aside, I'm excited to see how things will turn out and how far I will get in life. I like to call it a road trip. I'll see how far I can go, but I will still remember the path I took to get there. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you, Dylan. And with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Dylan. I love everything about your story. It's wonderful, and the way you told it was fantastic. I do have one comment. It sounds like that package sat under your bed for a long time, though. So as a mother, I can picture that very well. But I love your story, and I love the message, and it's incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm glad you did end up finding out exactly what it you wanted to do. So that's wonderful. Okay, I'm sure we have questions. Okay, Chair Rafik.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, yes, to echo what Trustee Grummett said, I love your story. Thank you so much for coming with us. Thank you for deciding to bring Dylan. He's a wonderful addition. Not that we don't love listening to you guys, but we definitely loved hearing the story. I'm a country girl myself, not a farm girl in particular, but definitely a country girl. So I really extra loved your story and love hearing you working on the tractors and your pride in that. That just makes me so happy. And to hear that you found what works for you and matches up and the way it all happened, just wonderful. So happy to hear it. Thank you so much. I do have a couple of questions for our lovely staff members. I'm just curious, do we follow what happens afterwards with the students in the OEAP? Like, are many of them staying employed? Are they continuing on? I don't know. I think of my own journey, and I started off with an idea and I changed pathways a few times along the way. So I could imagine that would happen with our students as well. So I'm just wondering if we follow them along, and those couple of things I was wondering, do they continue on that path and do they stay employed with that employer? Do we know those things?
And through the chair to the board, we currently did not have a method in place to track students after graduation as they are transferred to a separate ministry. But there is a new organization that has taken over apprenticeship sponsoring, so that's Skilled Trades Ontario, and with some lobbying through Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Recruiters, such as myself, a provincial organization, we have begun the process of being able to get that data to be able to begin following our students to see where they go through and actually have access to that data and to be able to track it over time. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Okay. Trustee Bites.
Yes, my question is for Dylan. Love your story. What's your favorite type of engine, and what do you find most challenging about rebuilding them, or what kind of, could you tell us more about the details of what you do?
Through the chair to the board. When it comes to the actual work itself, that's not the challenging part, because parts are replaceable, I guess, if it had come down to it. For me, being there, the challenging part is that I'm the first female in their shop, and it's a mom and pop kind of shop. So those were my challenges enough, having old-fashioned farmers coming in and seeing a lady working on their equipment. Let's just say it wasn't too ideal for them, but it's what I love to do, and I don't let anything stop me. But no, I like working on more of the compact tractors that we have for sale and whatnot. They're a lot easier. They're still loud roaring engines, but it's a little bit easier to understand. But that's what I'd say is my favorite thing so far.
Perfect. Any other comments? Trustee Strawn, please.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One, in relation to the OEAP program, do we have gaps in being able to provide opportunities for students that are interested? Like, are there times when we're not able to place a student because we have gaps with employers?
through the chair to Trustee Strawn. There can be sometimes difficulties finding placements for students, just given industry changes or if you look at, say, manufacturing right now, it's a little bit slower. We've noticed that. So there's times where it can be a little bit more difficult. However, our co-op teachers will do their best to find a placement for students that has typically transferable skills. So if it's not, say, a machine shop, they may be able to get them in with welding or something along those lines, so they can actually have those transferable skills. So while it may not be the exact placement the student wants, our co-op teachers do everything in their ability to find a transferable skill placement for those students. So there's still that learning taking place.
Okay, follow up.
And this is not specific to the OEAP program, but a couple of years ago, there was an announcement by the province saying that students could, I guess, leave high school effectively when they're 16 and then go work in a trade. And did that ever happen? Like, do people actually leave high school to do that? I never heard anything about it after the province made the announcement.
So through the chair to Trustee Strawn. So the initial announcement that they made was then altered a little to this OEF FAST program that I mentioned. So that is, it really just allows students to voice their interest in skilled trades and allow our guidance, co-op teachers, student success teachers to understand that those students are interested in that pathway and then support them through new reports and things like that that we have access to.
Okay, yep. Go ahead, Trustee Strawn.
I think that was an excellent idea to change that program, and so that we're keeping kids in school and they're getting their high school diploma as well as getting the experience in the trades. And I think that's just an excellent route to take, because then they continue to have options after high school in various different areas, wherever their path takes them. So that's great. The last question I had actually was just based on Dylan's comments around some of the struggles of being a woman in the trades. And I also heard similar comments at the Inspire conference a couple of years ago, where we had a guest speaker who spoke about the same types of challenges. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that we're doing as a board to particularly support female students who wish to go into the trades and to help with that transition, and to, I guess, help with some of the skills that they might need to navigate some of the thinking that might be taking place in some of these businesses, and helping them through that. How are we doing that?
Through you, Chair, to the table. So yeah, many different initiatives to try and promote trades among our female students. So we have often our guest speakers who are working in the industry. We make sure that we can bring them into our schools to speak to students. Anytime we have any skilled trades events, we make sure that we have equal representation. And so we do that anywhere from the elementary school all the way up through our high schools. We also are very fortunate to have quite a few female teachers in our school shops, and that really seems to help in that comfort level. And of course, anytime we have an opportunity to have students like Dylan speak and share their story, we make sure we do that. But we definitely have that as part of our improvement plan as a student achievement team, and so we're always making sure that we focus on that initiative, because we do know that there is obviously we definitely need to get caught up in our numbers when it comes to females in the trades. But we're definitely seeing an increase, which has been really good.
Okay, yep. Trustee Strawn, please.
Thank you, and I think that's excellent work that we're doing. And I guess just one quick follow-up is that if women, or I guess any student who enters the workforce and the trades, if they are encountering difficulties at their place of employment, how are they supported at the school to work through that?
and through you to the table. So in our co-op programs, all of our students must complete a pre-placement program before they enter the workforce. And so they receive all the training from workplace safety to workplace harassment to any of those issues. And so we have really good relationships with our industry partners, and our teachers are mandated to visit those work placements 4 times a semester. And because of that relationship we have, we also know that a lot of our placements, most of our placements are very open to having students, but those students are all well prepared before they enter their placement to know if they do run into any conflict that who they can look to for support.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from around the table? Trustee Foley on electronic, no questions? Nope. Okay, well, thank you very much. That was wonderful. And again, thank you so much, Dylan, for sharing your story. It's a wonderful story to tell. So thank you. And that takes us to our second item for information this evening, Pro-I-1B, our 2025-26 Math Achievement Action Plan update. And we will hear that from Superintendent Fennell, please.
Good evening, and thank you. Through you, Chair Grummett, to the table, I would like to request permission to invite Ferndale Woods Principal Angela Pino, Math Learning Partner Jillian Key, and Grade 6 classroom teacher Angie Creamers to join me in sharing this evening's report.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, please join us for this report.
The Simcoe County District School Board is in the 3rd year of the Math Achievement Action Plan, or MAP, and the priorities of ensuring curriculum fidelity, use of high-impact instructional practices, enhancing math content knowledge among teachers, and knowing our learners remain core themes. Also consistent this year has been the support of Math Learning Partners, or MLPs, in our ministry-identified priority schools. Parent and guardian engagement through family math nights, the Math at Home web resources, and access to a digital tool for at-home math practice. New this year has been deeper educator learning through a series of centrally facilitated sessions for grade 3, 6, and 9 teachers, and the engagement of principals and vice principals in directly supporting teachers with responsive instruction in the classroom. The overall impact of these collective efforts at the student desk is measured in a variety of ways, through report card and EQAO achievement, and also through the SCDSB block check-ins. Block check-in assessments are used in grades 1 to 8 to measure the retention of learning over time. In our 3rd year now, we are able to share trend data, as well as the impact of the SCDSB's additional efforts in priority schools. Over the past 3 years, grade 3 achievement on block check-ins among all schools has improved by 5%, with 21% improvement in our priority schools. The achievement of grade 3 students with special education needs across the SCDSB has grown by 6%, with 17% growth in priority classrooms. Grade 6 achievement on the block check-ins board-wide over the past 3 years has seen an improvement of 6%, with 7% in our priority schools. The achievement of grade 6 students with special education needs in all SCDSB schools has grown by 10%, again closing the gap, with 6% growth in our priority classrooms. In secondary, we've measured impact using EQAO. The average growth in the number of students achieving provincial standard over the past 3 years board-wide has been 5%. And in our priority school, that growth has been 19%, with a 26% growth among students with special education needs. While this data has affirmed the SCDSB's efforts in priority schools and its focus on enhancing the achievement of all students, specifically those with special education needs, We do recognize the need for continued focus in our grade 6 priority classrooms. This evening, we've invited guests from one of our priority schools, so Ferndale Woods, to share with you about their experiences. I would first like to introduce Angela Pino, principal at Ferndale Woods Elementary School.
Thank you. Over the past few years, Ferndale Woods Elementary School has benefited greatly from direct support from the math team, which has played a key role in strengthening both instructional practice and student achievement in mathematics. Through collaborative work, we've been able to build a clearer, more consistent approach to math instruction across classrooms. One of the most impactful supports has been the opportunity to engage in meaningful conversations around data. Working alongside the math team, including our math learning partner, Jillian Key, whom you will hear from shortly, we've developed a stronger ability to analyze student thinking, identify trends, and respond with targeted instructional strategies. In addition, as administrators, we have strengthened our practice of noticing and naming high-impact instructional strategies during classroom walkthroughs. This has helped to bring clarity and focus to what effective math teaching looks like in action. We have been able to anchor feedback and specific observable practices. When in classrooms, I intentionally emphasize with students the importance of process prior to getting to their final answer. I have had the opportunity to work with small groups of students and understand the approaches they are taking when solving problems. I've also gained a deeper understanding of the value of tools and representations to support math learning and have allocated budget to ensure that all classrooms now have math carts for students to be able to immediately access tools they require for various tasks. Overall, the supports that we have received, combined with administrator, teacher, and student efforts, have resulted in significant improvements in student engagement, achievement, and belief in themselves as mathematicians as we continue to move toward a more responsive and student-centered approach to math instruction. You've heard from my perspective as a school principal, and now it's my pleasure to introduce Jillian Key, who will share from her role as a math learning partner with the Simcoe County District School Board math team.
Thank you, Angela. As a math learning partner, I support 3 elementary schools, including Ferndale Woods. This includes 7 grade 6 classrooms and 2 learning centers, working directly with over 125 students. The MLP role focuses on strengthening students' mathematical achievement and confidence through responsive small group instruction cycles and implementation of the high-impact instructional practices in mathematics. This work is highly collaborative with the classroom teacher and is grounded in student assessment data. On a day-to-day basis, the classroom teacher and I work together to analyze student work, such as the SCDSB unit check-ins, knowledge hook missions, or diagnostic assessments to inform next instructional steps. This ongoing evidence informs flexible small group instruction with groups shifting weekly based on student need. Small group lessons emphasize problem solving with rich math tasks, mathematical reasoning, and the use of concrete tools and visual models. Teachers provide just-in-time feedback to address misconceptions that were previously identified through student work. One recent example was a small group lesson that focused on representing algebraic equations using algebra tiles. The students learned how to represent the equation, manipulate the tiles to isolate the variable, and then solve for the unknown value. Working in a small group allowed me to provide descriptive feedback immediately while students were solving problems to address their misconceptions. I also collaborate with classroom teachers to track individual student progress using a growth tracker. This helps us to see student learning over time and to identify who is improving and who may need additional support. The growth tracker is shared with the school administrators and the principal of school effectiveness, and it centers our communication and instructional decision-making at the student desk. In closing, the MLP model creates a responsive, data-driven approach that supports both student learning and teacher practice. By analyzing assessment information together, co-planning instruction, and providing targeted small group support, we can address student needs in real time and strengthen their confidence as mathematicians. You've heard from the perspective of a school principal and the math learning partner, and now I'd like to introduce Angie Kramers, who will share from her role as a grade 6 classroom teacher who I work alongside regularly.
Thank you, Jillian. During this school year and last, I've had the pleasure of a math learning partner joining my classroom. Like anything new, I was unsure how it would go, and I was a little hesitant. And I've joked with Mrs. Pino that it feels like a TPA the first couple of weeks until we get to know each other. As time went on, I realized what a bonus it was to have a second teacher in the room during what can be an intimidating subject for some students. Students were able to get feedback and assistance quicker, and they were able to hear the lesson given by 2 different teachers and possibly in 2 different ways. Students began to take more risks because they knew that help wasn't too far away. I have done a lot of learning myself. I wasn't terribly comfortable using all of the manipulatives with every concept, and the math learning partner helped me use these so that I could teach a math concept in a variety of different ways. I learned to slow down my math instruction and give students thinking time. I never wanted students to struggle, so I often intervened too quickly. Also, instead of giving longer tests, I've shifted to the shorter, more frequent check-ins provided by the Simcoe County District School Board Math Course of Study or Knowledge Hook, and I've learned how to use those so that the students can get most out of the assessment. After teaching a group of math concepts, I have students answer a few questions to gauge their understanding. I then use the data to create small groups and teach specifically what students need. Students then complete a second check-in to ensure any misconceptions have been addressed. They certainly find the regular check-ins a lot less stressful than the bigger tests. Other tools I'm now using more in my math classroom are vertical wipe books, which are like big blank poster boards on the walls of the classroom, where students work together to discuss and solve problems. Students have enjoyed standing up and collaborating to complete math tasks. They see it more like a game with the benefit of making the math more accessible for all and the learning more concrete. The math learning partners have brought new resources to my attention as well, and we spend time planning together. It's great to have time to plan and then co-teach with someone. Because of the math learning partner, I am a much more confident and relaxed math teacher, and that has reached my students. If I'm at ease, then so are they, which gives them a much more positive environment in which to take risks and make mistakes.
Thank you. We would now like to share a video that we've created to demonstrate the principal-led responsive instruction cycle. And that's new this year, and it's happening in elementary and secondary schools right across the Simcoe County District School Board. In the Simcoe County District School Board, student learning in math is supported through a variety of evidence-informed instruction and assessment practices. One of those practices includes assessing students as they progress through a unit of study. This video highlights classroom use of the Knowledge Hook digital math tool, and more specifically, the principal-led responsive instruction cycle.
The use of Knowledge Hook has strengthened my instructional leadership in math. It's allowed me to work alongside teachers and have those conversations around the instructional strategies. It's also allowed me to take a look at student work, not just the final answer, the process they take to get to that final answer. My role is to really dig into Knowledge Hook and the process, and to take a look at what some of those tasks will be to really strengthen those practices with students. And further to that, I've allowed myself to go into classes and do some of that in-between work with students and with staff as well.
The responsive instruction cycle has provided an opportunity for principals to really connect to individual classroom instruction and learning at the student desk.
They teach the concept on the board, and then I can have a mission set up for them, questions that I've selected. You can search straight from the curriculum number and just pull a couple questions. They can quickly sit down and do it, and then I can pull the report later on and just see who struggled, who needs more help. Do a small group instruction, reteach, and then even reassign that same question or reassign something similar. There's the misconception chart on Knowledge Hook, which is great, I would say, for new teachers or teachers teaching a new grade, just so that you can see, so if they are struggling, it's a bit of validation that, okay, this is a tricky concept, so I do need to reteach this or teach this in a different way.
We are seeing growth in our students, and I think the consistency of the use of Knowledge Hook is really, really important to really know and to evaluate where our students are and to know what strategies we need to put in place and what we need to reevaluate in order to move our students forward.
I like Knowledge Hook because it helps me learn math in a way that's really fun. There are different strategies that I can use. I can use my math toolkit. I can use other stuff that the teacher gives me. We just did patterning today. I made a decreasing pattern.
I really like math because it's super fun and we get to learn tons of new things. And then after we can go on Knowledge Hook and practice missions, and they also help us expand on our learning. Small group really helped because it helped me understand what I was not understanding so well. I didn't know a multiplication strategy. I learned that in that small group.
It has really informed what our instruction is in the classroom and really supported staff in knowing where their students are from the use of this tool.
I've seen principals throughout the year, they've become more confident in recognizing the high impact practices that are happening in classrooms, and they're more confident in providing really specific feedback to educators. The SCDSB recognizes that educators at all levels of the school system, from superintendent to school principal and vice principal to classroom teacher, all have a role to play in establishing a culture of excellence in mathematics and setting conditions for success. Principal-led responsive instruction cycles are one example of the ways in which the SCDSB is supporting positive math mindsets and achievement for all students.
And with that, we welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you very much. I think having the 4 different perspectives really helped this report come to life, and the video was just a perfect touch. And so I thank you for that, and I appreciate your honesty, Ms. Kremers, when you talked about, the changes and, how you, adapted. So thank you for that honesty. Okay, questions? Trustee Bites.
Thank you, through you, Chair Grummett. To our presenters, wow, those are some pretty fancy numbers you spouted off there real quick. 5% to 27% increases in EQAO math scores, and wow, that is round of applause worthy. Fantastic work. My question is, it seems like this approach of, the math teaching partner person seems to be very effective. And so my question is, how many, I know you have priority schools, and how do we share this resource around so that more of our students, we can see this kind of increase elsewhere? So please go ahead.
Through you, Chair Grummett, to Trustee Bites. That is a great question. We do have support. Where we have math learning partners, specifically in our priority schools, the math learning partners also support educators from all schools when they come for central learning. So we have something called Impact Math, where we're bringing a number of educators from each school several times. So in elementary, they're coming 3 times throughout the course of the year. In secondary, we pull 4 times, and our math learning partners are all at the tables. They are working directly with each of the educators. We also have 2 district math facilitators. So quite often when a school, whether a school principal reaches out, an educator in a classroom reaches out for additional support, they will go out directly to those schools and support in their classes.
Follow up, Trustee Bites?
Yes, thank you, Chair Grummett. That sounds great. Obviously, it's working really well, and we get to do the budget real soon, so maybe we could, put some more money to math. I'm always for that. Yeah, great work. I know it takes a long time, and you're really starting to see the fruits, especially Superintendent Fennell. I know that this has been a labor of love for you for many years, and this is just wonderful to see. So thank you so much. Keep up the great work, and whatever we can do as trustees to support it and further it, please let us know. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Lloyd, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, and through you to our presenters, thank you for coming this evening. And as someone who has a family member who thinks math is fun, I know not all people feel that way about math. So I'm just wondering if we're seeing a significant improvement in attitude, because there's been such a fear of math, an apprehension on math, an aversion to doing math. If we're seeing the work that we're doing, creating math in a more positive environment, and where students are more willing to approach it and approach it with a positive attitude, because I just know when having talked to students and being, engaged with students, there was apprehension around math and their ability to do it and the fear of doing it. So just want to know, are we making headway on that?
Through you, Chair Grummett, I would like to invite Jillian Key to be able to answer.
So through the chair to the table, we do track this data several times throughout the year as the students identify themselves through a student confidence survey. And two of the questions that they are asked is, I like math, and they identify yes, I'm not sure, or no. When looking at specifically Ferndale Woods grade 6 data, there's been a 6% increase from September until now, with students identifying, yes, I like math. There has been a 12% increase in students identifying that they can solve challenging math problems. So through our math conversations, through solving tasks, through small group instruction, we are seeing an increase in students identifying that they are feeling confident with mathematics.
Okay, follow up, Trustee Lloyd.
Thank you. I think that's great, because, we know it's how you approach something and your willingness to learn and to overcome fear. So I think that is a very positive step in the right direction, and really glad to hear that. So congratulations, and thank you for all your hard work on this.
Okay. Trustee, I'm not sure who was first. Trustee Strawn, we'll start with you, and then Trustee Armstrong.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to the presenters. The block check-ins that we do, I have a few questions about those. So is that something that we decided to do as a school board, or is that something that's ministry mandated? Do all grades get a block check-in, or just grades 3, 6, and 9 who are doing EQAO? And do all schools get a block check-in, or is it just priority schools?
Through you, Chair Grummett, to Trustee Strawn. This is an SCDSB assessment that our district math team has created. This is a way of being able to have data that we can really action in a more timely manner. So we do value very much regular ongoing classroom assessment. We value EQAO as a measure, but we were really looking for measuring learning over time through the course of the year, because then we can identify concepts that need to be revisited again. So these assessments were created for the SCDSB. And all students in grades 1 to 8 complete them.
Okay, follow-up question, Trustee Strawn.
Just one other question. I guess that it seems like the impact is faster, greater, like there's just bigger percentage increases in how students in grade 3 are doing compared to how students in grade 6 are doing. And I wondered if you might be able to speak to perhaps some of the rationale behind that, like, and what the expectations are. Like, I think all advancements are good, but like, are you happy with
where you're at in each of these, or are there other goals set that you're trying to achieve? Just trying to get a better understanding of the context of the numbers.
Through you, Chair Grummett, to Trustee Strong. Thank you for that question, and that is a very complex question, so I'm going to do my best. If you can imagine, so efforts are definitely put into primary division as well as the junior division. When students are in grade 6, you may see if there is learning interruption, if there are some gaps over time, they may grow a little bit bigger by the time a student reaches grade 6. So we may be reaching back, really identifying what concepts have been missed, what needs to be reinforced. So there may be a little bit more work to do to continue. There's a greater opportunity with our junior students, but we have put a great deal of effort in junior, and we have seen some really good growth overall in the system with our block check-ins, especially this year. We've been watching that very closely year to year, and we saw probably the biggest percentage growth this fall in the block check-ins overall. I can tell you that it represents, this is something we're very proud of in Simcoe County because it represents almost 90% of students. So that is a huge commitment among our educators in classrooms to use the assessment, to enter the data so that it can be used in a classroom level, school level, and a system level. But we recognize that there are needs all the way through in each of the divisions, so we're really trying to ensure that our work is responsive to the needs of the students in each division.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Armstrong.
Thank you, through you to Superintendent Fennell. In regards to the term knowledge hook, I think that's a digital software system, but I'm not really sure, is it something that's just the administrative task of collecting the data and telling you the growth, or for instance in the video, our principal was talking a lot about using knowledge hook and teachers, but is it providing curriculum, or is it basically just a tool to see, or I guess you could just describe it better than, is it an administrative tool, or is it a curriculum tool? And is Knowledge Hook something that a program that other boards are using? Is this just particular to Simcoe County? Is it Canadian or American? So I just wanted a little more information about that program.
Through you, Trustee Grummett, or Chair Grummett, to Trustee Armstrong. Thank you for that question. So Knowledge Hook is a tool used by most boards across Ontario. It is approved by the Ministry of Education. So Ministry of Education funds the SCDSB and all boards to use a digital math tool to support enhanced math instruction and assessment. It was our choice to use Knowledge Hook, but again, most boards across Ontario are using this tool. And it is one tool that's used to assess how students are doing over time. So essentially, the classroom teacher uses the curriculum, other resources, the SCDSB math course of study, to teach a few lessons on a few concepts. And then it's really important that we check to see how are students doing. Are they understanding the things we're teaching? So we provide things such as unit check-ins for them. Sometimes the teacher will do something like an exit ticket that they've created, a short assessment. Knowledge Hook is just one more tool. It's a digital tool that students can log on and spend maybe 10 minutes to answer a few questions. The advantage for that is that the data, the results of the student effort shows on a dashboard. So teachers can read that really quickly, and they can identify, wow, I've got 10 students who've got these concepts. I've got a couple of students that are struggling with this, and I might have a group of 5 that are struggling with something different. Knowledge Hook also provides next steps. So for small group instruction, if this is a question that's missed, this is the concept. So this is what a student's struggling with. This might be the misconception they have. Here's what you can do about it. And it also provides the opportunity, if a teacher chooses to use it, they can print off a couple of activities that students can use for deliberate practice to give them a little bit more time on a task that's challenging.
Great. Follow up, Trustee Armstrong.
Thank you for that. I just feel like mathematics is such a complex subject that it's very difficult to know. It's a scaffolding thing. You definitely need to understand one concept before you get to the higher one, to the higher one, to the higher one. You can't necessarily go up the steps and just skip 5 steps. Maybe some children can, but very few can and can't. And, thank you for giving us information about that, because I would think for a lot of our teachers that would be very difficult to ascertain just from doing, the regular weekly tests or quizzes to know where the applying the concepts, if it's the whole class is getting it or just there's just a couple that need a little extra help. So it's good to know that there's something, that software that is actually helping, as opposed to entering data, and then you can't utilize the information. So thank you for that. I know mathematics is a very difficult subject to teach too, because you need to be a master, I think, understanding the concepts. So I appreciate that. I wish my children had access to some of these things because I know definitely in high school, once you get to that point, if you want to take STEM things and your mathematics skills or calculus and those things are lacking, it's very difficult to take those STEM programs. So thank you for that.
Okay, Trustee Strawn, please.
Just wanted to add to the knowledge hook that in my experience, the students really enjoy the program. Like, I have a student in my house who does knowledge hook at home, like, for fun. So it's going over well.
That's great. Okay, Trustee Bites.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on the Knowledge Hook bandwagon. It was, I have a student in my household who, first time I've seen them use it. What's that reading program that they use to help them read? You know what I mean? Like the daily, anyway. UFLA? No. Lexia. Sorry, I would compare it to kind of a math version of Lexia. That was my impression, and it's really quick and easy to do it. Like, I think for my student, his teacher assigns him 3 questions a day, and you can do it real quick. And, and then it's really easy as a parent to be like, hey, have you been doing your work? Let me see. And you can see you can see the whole month what days he's missed. And for sure, it is fun and interactive. And I think it's a great resource. And I'm glad more people that use it, I think the better. So thank you.
Okay, Chair Rafik, please.
Thank you very much, and through the chair, thank you so much for your presentation. Ms. Kramers, I just wanted to say the same as Trustee Grummett had said. I really appreciate your honesty, and you said several things that really stuck with me, and I hope that you will inspire other teachers to be so open to continue to learn and grow there. So I really appreciate your honesty and your bravery in sharing that with us, so thank you so much. I had a couple questions around learning disabilities in math. I know I've talked to Superintendent Fennell about this a couple of times, but I'm still trying to wrap my brain around everything too. That my experience in learning disabilities is that we're very literacy focused. I was Learning Disability Association rep on SEAC before I was a trustee, and I just feel like all the work that I did with learning disabilities, it just felt very literacy focused, and it really makes me think about, are we catching those who are struggling with learning disabilities in math in particular? So I just wondered if, so yes, I was thinking again about the screeners we do. We do a lot of early reading screeners and literacy, but I don't necessarily see those same things in math. I think a lot of things you're doing, like the block check-ins, and are kind of recreating those, but I'm just not sure that we're maybe catching those learning disabilities in math. So I was just wondering if you could speak to that, maybe how we're catching them. Do teachers know what to look for in that do teachers know what to look for and to watch for, and what maybe we're doing in that? I don't know if I'm being clear in what I'm asking, but.
Through you, Chair Grummett, to Chair Rafik, thank you for your question. One thing that I can speak to certainly when it comes to supporting students with special education needs, whether we know that already or we're not sure. I know that there's been conversation around the table around UDL, so Universal Design for Learning. So some of the different pieces that we're doing to support access to that. And when you mentioned about reading, so one of the things that we very specifically do, one of the strategies is pre-teaching vocabulary. So in working, and I think when we are working to assess students along the way, if they're struggling with a particular part, and it might be the reading of a question, it might be the understanding of a question, then that is part of a conversation through our special education channels too. So that might be in a situation with a math learning partner, the conversation right at the student desk, what are the strategies that are working, what do they need, bringing in a CERT special education resource teacher into that conversation. But a number of the strategies that are used as good for all to access the math is really important and needed for some of our students.
Okay, follow up, Chair Rafik.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, and I appreciate the work, all the work that has been done, and how far we've come. When I think about when I was in math, or even when my older children were younger taking math, I feel like there was more of a one path way to do a lot of things, right? And there's a lot of different ways to approach a question now, and I know that some people may look at that as that's too much, and we're not focused on the problem. I think that's some feedback I hear from people sometimes, but I think that we really need to understand that everyone has a different way of doing things, and we all come at a problem in different ways. And so I really appreciate the different views that we're taking to be able to solve, all the different questions and things that are put in front of our students. And like I said, I just think it's so important that we are really thinking about those. Everyone's brain works different, right? And making sure that we're giving access to all of our students. So like I said, and maybe it's just me, I'm not an educator, I'm just someone who sits back and watches a lot of what wonderful educators do. But to me, learning disability just seems so literacy focused, and I feel like it needs to be a bit more math focused, and then maybe that would help with our numbers as well, that we're just maybe not catching what people are needing to know.
Yes, please go ahead.
Through you, Chair Grummett, to Chair Rafik. One thing that I can say, so if we have tried those strategies in the classroom and we have worked with our CERT, there may be a time that a CATIA would be done in a school. And that is another way of understanding a little bit more about how a student is processing and how, where they are. So that is just one more step through that process.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to add, tonight in our pre-meeting with our student trustees, we actually talked about math. We were doing a bit of a comparison between advanced functions and calculus and what we need to take on in our post-secondary studies, and we were comparing things that we learned and things that we liked. So we had a great math conversation. So lots of love for math at that table. All right, thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. Okay, so that now takes us to our third item for information, Pro-I-1C, screen time in the classroom, and I will invite Superintendent Young for that report.
Thank you. And through the chair, in your package tonight, please find this report for information. It has been prepared in response to a request made by the Board of Trustees at the regular meeting of the board on September 24th, 2025. The SCDSB recognizes that technology is an important component of teaching and learning. The Pediatricians Alliance of Ontario and the Ontario chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics have identified the importance of a balanced use of technology for children. The PAO and the AAP have identified regular screen-free breaks provide benefits to a child's well-being and additionally for their learning outcomes at home and at school. This evening, we have two elementary school principals here to present the meaningful strategies they use at their schools. Through the chair to the table, may I please request Principal Varioki of Coldwater Moonstone Public School and Principal Cook of Shanty Bay Public School to join us at the table.
Thank you. Yes, please join us.
We are going to begin with Principal Varioki.
Good evening and thank you. At Coldwater Public School and Moonstone Public School, I have the opportunity of working in two completely separate buildings. While I am engaged with our students, many of our educators are using mindfulness and self-regulation tools available via technology. Students use guided movement and calming videos on screens to enhance focus and emotional regulation, especially on those long, cold, wintry, rainy days when students who have been sitting there for quite some time need to get up and get some wiggles out. We use strategies also provided by School Mental Health Ontario as a way of bringing students' focus back to their learning. We also engage in technology to really talk about current events and developing strong media literacy skills. In our intermediate classes, educators use programs like CNN 10, a short little documentary about global events that they can bring into their classrooms and have meaningful, relevant discussions. Recently, when the shuttle took off, this inspired a lot of videos to be watched, how the astronauts are exploring time, and we now have kindergarten classes all wishing to be astronauts, and they are engaging in a lot of inquiry-based activities as a result. It tied in perfectly with our grade 6 focus on science and space and flight. Excuse me. Skill development and creativity. We use educational platforms such as Knowledge Hook and Lexia to support our math and literacy skills that provide immediate feedback to not only educators, but to students and families as well. We also use various websites that are used for coding, bringing music to classrooms, arts, science, and social studies demonstrations. That all being said, we really strive to promote balanced technology use with hands-on activities and discussions to promote meaningful interaction in learning. I have the privilege to walk into 3 different grade 3 classrooms in 2 different buildings, and I can look at the course of study for math. Students are all on the same plane, engaging with the activities and terminology that our board has put together to ensure consistency in delivery and programming. Thank you.
Principal Cook.
Thank you, Superintendent Young. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me this evening. I'm happy to share some strategies that we've implemented at Shanty Bay Public School. We also believe in promoting healthy technology use for our students. And as such, this year we decided to make balanced screen time a key focus as part of our goal to maintain our OFIA Healthy Schools certification. We started by meeting with our student ambassadors or leaders and our staff well-being team to create a simple graphic to represent what we felt balanced screen time should look like in our school. We shared this with staff, students, and families so that we are all working from the same understanding and language around healthy tech use. First, we focused on balanced technology use. And when we talk about balanced technology use, what we really mean is about being really intentional about how we're using technology. In our classrooms, you might see students using Chromebooks for research, writing, coding, collaborating on a project, but you'll also see just as much hands-on learning. That could be building in math, small group discussions, outdoor learning, and other creative activities. We also support healthy habits across the day. So for example, not having students on screens for long stretches of time, building in movement breaks, and screen-free learning time. Another big piece for us was around digital citizenship. We explicitly teach students how to be safe online, how to use technology responsibly, and how to think critically about what they see. So for example, we talk about things like, is this information reliable? How do I communicate respectfully online? We also help students recognize distractions, like wanting to switch between multiple tabs they may have open or rush through their work, and give them strategies to stay focused and use technology with purpose. Student well-being is also always at the center of what we do. We also intentionally use School Mental Health Ontario lessons and resources in our classrooms to support students in building self-awareness, coping strategies, and emotional regulation skills. Alongside that, classrooms include daily practices like mindfulness, breathing exercises, and check-ins so that students can reflect on how they're feeling. Many classrooms, actually all of our classrooms, have a calming or regulation spaces where students can take a break if they need to reset. There's no screens, just time to refocus. They may include other sensory tools, coloring pages, breathing exercises, and so on. We know that this focus doesn't stop at school. It's always a partnership with our families. We've shared this year tips and resources with families about things like screen time routines at home, encouraging device-free times around meals or before bed, and using parent controls when needed. We've also partnered with our public health nurse and community organizations to support student well-being and provide consistent messaging between home and school. Finally, we also involve our students in leading this work. Our student leadership teams help promote healthy technology habits. So for example, through our morning announcements, they will model balanced use or even recognize their peers who are making positive choices. We find that it really helps when students hear these messages from each other. So at the end of the day, our goal isn't obviously to eliminate technology, it's to help students use it in a healthy, balanced, and purposeful way that supports both their learning and their well-being. And that's a graphic, the graphic that I was referring to is up there on the screen that we shared with our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal Varioki and Principal Cook. As we have heard, in our schools, technology supports learning while maintaining a healthy balance with physical activity, creativity, and social connection. The SCDSB promotes leadership actions of our principals to balance technology integration, support professional learning opportunities, promote student well-being and leadership, and work with the community through collaboration and reflection. And with this, our guests and I are open to questions from the table. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. All right, we'll start with Trustee Bites.
Thank you for the report. I guess I'm wondering is there, like in kindergarten, do we not use any technology or personal devices or computers? I'm just wondering, I think a long time ago we maybe introduced that in grade 4, or what are the guidelines kind of introducing and using technology in the class? Obviously, it seems to increase as they get older. I don't know if you're able to give us some more details on how that works, please.
Thank you very much for your question, and through the chair. In our schools, we start with the teacher modeling in kindergarten, the use of the technology through programs like UFly, where the teacher is modeling the literacy actions, sharing the occasional video, like I said, of the space shuttle, but it's primarily educator-led. As the students move through upper primary grades, we're seeing the introduction of Lexia, grade 3, and Knowledge Hook. We've had some of our students in grade 1 accessing it as a way to do some extra practice as well. As they move through the junior grades, there becomes more familiarity with different websites, how to use them accordingly, how to engage politely and respectfully online, what's great about a website, what's not so great about a website, more interaction with Knowledge Hook and other programs as well. And then as you get into intermediate, it is a lot of research-based activities, writing, things like that.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Lloyd, please.
Thank you, and through you to our presenters, thank you for coming this evening and sharing this information. My question is with respect to the digital citizenship. When that is being taught, are we working on what we do after school as well? Because I do get a number of inquiries from parents who are struggling to get their kids to engage other than on a screen outside of school hours. So are we working on that as well to try and help our students understand that as well?
So I think to answer, or through the chair to Trustee Lloyd, when pondering that, a lot of it is reflection. So I recall back to technology being new to everyone, and everyone felt it was the answer. And we are now in a reflective stance where there is a lot of thought related to when technology is appropriate and how much is appropriate. When I was working through the information for this report, one of the things that surprised me, and I was thinking of all the little people I know, is the report through Sick Kids mentioned that young children should only, under the age of 2, should only be video calling their grandparents. And that was it. And it was a real surprise to me on what I think little people do and use and how they use technology. So one of the things we do as a board, we're always trying to reflect and connect to where we are in our reality. So I know that the central team and multiple members of that are working through digital safety and citizenship and working with our staff to promote lessons and support so that we are constantly engaging in our new realities as technology is moving so fast.
Okay, Chair Rafiq, please.
Thank you very much, and through the chair. Just as the conversation's happening, this question just kind of came to me, but do we know much about how different types of technology are affecting our kids, I guess, is what I'm thinking about. Not that this is necessarily a school board question, but I'm just thinking about, when I'm exhausted at the end of the day, I go home and I watch an hour or two of TV, and sometimes it's a little much, but if I were to be on my phone scrolling for an hour, I know what that does to my brain. I can literally feel the physical sensations of it kind of waking me up and stressing me out in different ways and things like that. Whereas if I zone out in front of the TV, it maybe helps me relax a little bit for sleep. So I'm just wondering, are those things that we talk about with our students as well?
Through the chair to Trustee Rafiq, I was at a conference a few months ago, and one of the concerns that was brought to the table by the guest speaker, or the keynote speaker, was around YouTube Shorts. That they are, they hit the synapses quickly. It's hard to even give your mind a chance to think about what you've seen. So when you talk about quick scrolling and all those types of things, that would be very challenging. And that's why we're working for this balanced use and strategic use of technology in our classrooms. Would you like that?
Sure. Thank you. And just to add on to what Superintendent Young is saying, I know that at our school, some of our intermediate teachers, they have tech challenges with the kids. So even on their personal devices, you can check on your mobile phones how much screen time you've accessed that week, how many times you've looked at your phone, how you're using that. And then they set achievable goals for themselves and make it a bit of a challenge to beat that. So that's kind of incorporated into our health curriculum as well. well, alongside the lessons from OFIA, School Mental Health Ontario, where we're explicitly teaching students coping tools to use to help support their well-being.
Okay, Trustee Bites, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, through you, Chair Grummett, to our presenters, I wanted to ask about the role of outdoor education and touching grass, if you will. I know my kids are cringing at home that I just said that, but you know, how important is that do we have dedicated times? Do we make it a goal, you know, in our classes to, you know, how much do we go outside, and how does that used? I know you guys both mentioned it, but I don't know if you have anything else to share, please.
Thank you for the question, and through the chair to the table. Now that Mother Nature is kind of cooperating, we are seeing our classes outside just because of the simple ease of getting in and out so quickly. We have purchased tarps that classes can go out and sit down on the ground. I see educators out there and the students have individual reading books. I see whiteboards and markers going out, and they're doing real-time inquiry. Our primary classes stay out for a little bit longer, and they have little challenges throughout the day. So I think it's definitely easier when we don't have an exceptional amount of snow to traverse, as well as the whole time commitment of getting dressed and undressed and all of those things. But there's still an effort to get outside, whether it be for outdoor DPA, a quick walk around the schoolyard, engage in play, building, things like that. So it is happening. It's just happening a lot more now.
Trustee Strawn, please.
Thank you, and thanks for all of the information. It's great, and it's wonderful to see the work that we're doing in the schools with and without technology. And I think that like the balanced approach is so critical, because I can't think of a job that you go to or like another place in life that you're at where there's zero technology. So it's good to be teaching those balances, and especially Principal Cook, what you were saying about like multiple tabs being open and like stay focused on your task. Just because you can do many things here doesn't mean you should. Like, those are great skills that I think will really help our students. The question that I had related to the correspondence that we received back in September from the Pediatrics Association, and they were specifically asking schools and school boards to commit to screen-free lunches and recess times. And I guess barring like inclement weather, because I think that's an exception, but like just on a regular day, most of the time, are our students in our classrooms across the county eating lunch and participating in recess, like screen-free with peers in conversation, or is something else happening?
Through the chair to Trustee Strawn, thank you for that question. Like anything, there's a continuum of what's happening in different schools. Our push and our hope is always that students are interacting, having safe conversations at during lunchtime. I have seen in many of my schools. To call them videos, it's more like a calming, moving picture. There'd be music. That's what I'm seeing in a lot of the classrooms I go in. I know years ago there would be maybe a YouTube video or an activity video if there was appropriate supervision. But for the most part, the push is to have safe conversations, seated at your chairs and supervised. But yeah, I do see technology used, but I see it used connected to School Mental Health Ontario for calming breaks and for regulation more than it would be to just sit and watch.
Okay, follow-up, Trustee Strawn.
Yeah, I think just to follow up, it seemed to me that what the Pediatrics Association was talking about was like, are there sitcoms or movies or something like that being played during the lunch hour that are detracting from people's ability to communicate or like mindfully eat their food or pay attention, or even at recess time to get that activity movement break, because they would have an opportunity to sit and watch something instead. And you know, even in the resources that you're sending home, you're encouraging families to have some screen-free time around meals, things like that. So, like, I'm assuming that's also happening in the school, but I think that the idea of having soft music or some of those calming elements throughout the classroom is also great. I know in some of the schools that I've visited, sometimes they like dim the lights a little bit and just let everybody chill out. So those are great strategies, and I'm happy to hear that that is the direction that we're going in, and that's the, I guess, sounds like the expectation in our schools. So thank you for that.
Trustee Bites.
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to add to that. I know during COVID especially, a lot of classrooms got in the habit of playing movies during lunchtime, and sometimes it horrifies me, and I do think that that is maybe a habit that is still very prevalent in a lot of schools. So I don't know if, I think no screen means no screen. You can play music without a screen or whatever. I think just having that break, as the Ontario Pediatrician Association said, I think it's critical, because I know I've heard from several parents just horrified at how many movies the kids, you're like, go to have family movie night, and I've already seen like that. And we're like, where did you see that? At school, of course, during lunch. So I'm glad to hear that we're moving away from that, because I think that that's kind of a bad habit that's left over from COVID in a lot of areas. So thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very, very much. And we don't have any correspondence, so that takes us to other matters. I want to just share one thing following up on our presentation. Just a reminder that we do have the Parent Involvement Committee is hosting our Connections event, which is focused on digital well-being and fostering healthy technology habits, balance online use at home. So this is a great time to remember, and it's happening April 28th from 6 to 8. You can find out the information on our website under the connection part. But as follow-up as a parent or a guardian or somebody who wants to learn more about how do you support your student, that's a great opportunity. Any other matters? Chair Rafiq, please.
Thank you very much. So yesterday we had the opportunity to host Minister Calandra in our school board. It was a wonderful day. There was a lot of people involved, and so I have some notes in front of me because I don't want to forget anybody. But yes, Minister Calandra and MPP Kanjan came to view a couple of schools. They wanted to see the construction that was happening at Nantire and some things happening at Innisdale Secondary School. So I wanted to very much thank Principal Renison at Innisdale and the teachers there, Craig Banks, Jeff Toole, and Kit Carnes. We, like I said, we did some tours throughout the school with the two ministers, and that was wonderful. And it was there was some student leaders that met us in the parking lot and brought us in and brought them throughout the school, and they were really wonderful. They were very knowledgeable about their schools, very excited, very happy to share things with us. So that was wonderful to see them. Then we headed over to Nantire, where Superintendent Van Nispen was with us, and him and Chris Whalen took us on a tour of the construction at Nantire. We had to get our steel toes, our lovely hats, and our vests on. That's always great for the photo opportunity, but we got to see, it's always very exciting. It's my second time being able to tour a school under construction, and it's really nice to see what's happening. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say it out loud, Superintendent Van Nispen, but I heard several times yesterday that the project is ahead of schedule. So I've said it out loud now. So it was really exciting to hear that. That's always nice when we hear about construction that is ahead of schedule. And I will say, I believe that Minister Calandra was very happy to hear that as well. He commented on that part several times too. So there was a lot of people that met us at Nantire. So Principal Brian McIsaac was wonderful. We took a tour in the hospitality class where they made some cookies and they were making samosas. I was really excited to see a gluten-free section where they were very serious about their gluten-free. I tried to walk over to that section and the students stopped me. Nope, this is the celiac area. I assured them that I was the celiac that could come in that area and chat with them as well. So it was really nice to see the inclusion there. I chatted with the student in the room who was a celiac and talked about how his teacher was very inclusive and they were using recipes that he could always use, and it was really nice for me to hear that, how that student was included in that way as well. So it was Sarah Prentice, the teacher in there. Then we headed over to the senior band. They did a couple of pieces for us with teacher Danielle Vaz, and they were incredible. They really were amazing. They talked to us about the different festivals that they have been to and the awards that they've won, and they're clearly in a league of their own over there, but they were very amazing. But yes, it was very nice to be able to host Minister Calandra and MPP Kenjan to highlight the wonderful things that are happening in our schools and to show how appreciative we are of the capital that has been awarded to our board within the last few years. We have a lot of projects underway which they were very interested in learning about, and so it was really nice to be able to highlight and show our appreciation for being chosen for those projects. So thank you very much to everyone that was involved. I know, so I should say as well, Manager Kekwich was there with the communications team. They did a wonderful job. Director Stevens led the entire tour through both schools, and I felt she represented us amazingly. It was wonderful for her to be able to share the knowledge about our schools and our programs and all the great things happening. So I just, like I said, I'm sure there was many, many more people involved than the names that I've said today. So thank you for everyone that was involved and made us feel so welcome. And I know we interrupted a lot of classes and a lot of days, and I appreciate the time. I appreciate the time of superintendents and staff here that took away from the day as well. It was a long day in that sense, and I appreciate the time that was put into it.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Any other matters? Okay, I don't see any. So are there any notices of motion for the next meeting? Okay, I don't see any. So that will take us into our closed session. So we'll just take a few moments to get ready for that part of our meeting. Okay, thank you. Okay, so welcome back to our program meeting. And we are actually at our adjournment. So I need a mover for that. That's right. Trustee Bites and seconded Trustee Lloyd. Any opposed? No. All in favor? And that is carried. We are now closed, or now adjourned. That's what we're doing. Have a good night. Thank you so much.